news breaking this afternoon in a very cool video. Russell Westbrook has announced his retirement from the NBA. 9-time All-Star, 2-time All-NBA first team, MVP in 2017, 11 years in OKC, had stints in Houston, the Lakers, the Clippers, Denver, Washington, Sacramento, but really a legendary player for the Thunder. Brew, your reaction to this news?
Well, look, I think you said it, legendary. And he is. He is a legend. I think he will be remembered. He obviously didn't win a championship, but he'll be remembered as an athletic marvel.
Yep.
A spectacle. Like when you can play sports at the highest level, which obviously the NBA is, you're talking about the greatest athletes in the world, and you stand out for your athleticism and your energy. That's special. Now, I used to say he would be iconic, like an Allen Iverson, like a Pistol Pete Maravich, who also neither won championships, but they're icons. I said it because he averaged triple-double 4 years. Jokic doing it the last 2 years has taken a little bit of shine off. It's still a tremendous achievement. He's the only one to do it 4 times. Jokic with 2, Oscar Robertson with 1. But if Jokic had never done it, it would just be like, this is incredible. I think now we feel like maybe Luka 1 year, somebody else might do it as well, and Jokic might do it a few more times. So that to me takes a little bit of his iconic status. I don't think he'll be an icon. He'll be a legend, all-time great, obviously a Hall of Famer, on the top 75 team already, rightly so. And he's just, I could put him in the category of an Iverson. I would say I think you'd rank Iverson ahead of him.
Touch higher.
But yeah, but Iverson, of course, I do think is iconic.
Yes.
Like he kind of is the poster child for the meshing of NBA and hip hop culture. Yep. Russell doesn't have that, but a legend, all-time great. And look, if he had played, it would have been fine. But, it's not always great to see the legends kind of on the decline. LeBron's still obviously playing at a very high level. Westbrook's not at the same level. Played well last year, but I think it's good that he's stepping away and he should get his flowers.
When this show first started was the year he won his MVP. And even then, in the midst of winning the MVP, he was somewhat polarizing amongst basketball media, basketball fans, but certainly at that point, the fledgling and now full-fledged analytics crew of how good is he really? And I remember one of the things I used to say 10 years ago was, if you have a kid that plays sports, Russ might be the #1 guy I would tell them to watch, as far as you have no idea the time of the game, if it's a playoff game or not, the score of the game, if you watch his effort. And I thought that was so
even
admirable.
if you're playing for Sacramento.
Say it again?
Even when you're playing for Sacramento.
But this was, again, when he was with the Thunder. But yes, he was full energy at all times, full effort. And I do think the analytics community has a hole in some of the algorithms is the difficulty of being that high usage, what it does to your own efficiency, but how it potentially helps some of your teammates' efficiency. Because, like, Iverson took all the bad shots for the Sixers. And so peak Russ, I think, was a better player than he is remembered for being by some of the smart numbers.
Yeah.
And I agree with everything you said. I think we would probably have him around the same spot on our all-time list. I tried to jot it out. He's right around, right outside the top 10 for best guards ever, but inside the top.
Guards or guards?
Just guards. Guards, period. But inside the top 15, he's in my top 40-ish players of all time. He's in the same area of I have him ahead of Nash and right behind AI, right around Walt Frazier, that area. And so I want to give him his flowers, especially today. I also think he is, cautionary tale is too strong, but a bit of a lesson in refusal to evolve or adjust, and how that can hurt you once you're no longer the athletic marvel he was at the beginning of his career. Because I think he could have had a better, more productive, and not individually productive, but team winning-wise, been a part of winning more if once he was no longer the best athlete in the league, he was willing to adjust a bit. But
I
he
don't
never...
know if he, I remember last week, I think it was last week, you said to Josh Allen, can he play different?
Can he play different? No.
I don't know that Russ could. How many years did he play? 18? 18, yeah. He was what he was. I agree with you that was necessary for him to really win. But I just think he was what he was.
Final note, I'll put a bookend on your statement. My son's name is Russell, and his first NBA game, we went to see Russell Westbrook because it was like his favorite player. So we went to the Garden. He has a little Westbrook jersey on. And also, just outside of basketball, I remember when he left OKC. And then I remember very quickly he was back in OKC running his charity there. So obviously like a great basketball player, also just by all accounts, a great guy.
He's like by the NBA legendary tipper, great to the people around the arenas. Like he's kind of like surly on the court, like with my only friend was basketball. But off the court, he is considered one of the best guys in the league. And I
look
don't
at
know
the loyalty he showed OKC.
Yes.
Yep.
You know,
So, great career. Congratulations to Russ. Other basketball news happening today, the Lakers were sold again. Mark Walters Group, which owns the Dodgers, bought the Lakers in June for a record $10 billion, previous June, and then turned around and sold them today for $12.5 billion. New owners, former Disney CEO Robert Iger and Josh Kushner. That group releasing a statement that said, our long-term commitment is to build on the Lakers Foundation, compete at the highest level, and serve this extraordinary team, its fans, in the city of Los Angeles. Your reaction to this macro level, and how do you think this filters down to on the court?
My macro level is this is a little weird.
A little bit.
And I've never seen house flipping, but with the NBA crown jewel franchise. And they were sold for a valuation of $10 billion, like you said, just about a year ago. Now sold with a valuation of $12.5 billion. So one way to look at it is, hey, 25% return in a year. Sign me up for that hedge fund. That's great.
Yeah.
The specter of what you can't ignore, Wall Street Journal reporting just a couple weeks ago that Mark Walters, the main guy in this group, the Walters Group, is under FBI investigation. I think it's also hard to ignore the fact that he was just at the White House because of the Dodgers celebration, and a couple weeks later, the brother of the president's son-in-law bought the Lakers. Like those are all just timeline accurate things that happened. And all of this is very odd, particularly on the heels of them potentially trying to buy the World Cup, not being able to do that. And so I think there will be really good investigative journalism on how all of this came together. I know the reporting today is this happened in 3 days. That feels unlikely to me, that you can buy the Los Angeles Lakers on a Wednesday after first broaching it on a Sunday. But again, I'm not doing the reporting. It just strikes me as difficult. I tried to buy a house once. It took 3 months to buy a house. I had a lot of paperwork. But on the court, I do know that when the Walters Group came in, everyone was like, a new day in Los Angeles. They know how to run pro sports teams. You're going to have the smartest people. You're not going to lack for resources, all of this. I'm not saying Kushner and Iger won't do that, and they do have some history in, Kushner owns a piece of the Heat. He's going to have to divest of that. Iger owns an NWSL team, so they have some, history there, but it's not the rich history of what the Dodgers folks had. So if I were a Laker fan today, I don't think I'm overwhelmed in a positive direction by this news, but my initial reaction was a little confusion and surprise at never seeing a team flipped like this, especially a team like the Lakers.
I feel like speculation based on the reporting, I feel like this is definitely related to the investigation. Like maybe Mark Walters got a tip whatever, that he's going to need some money. And so I think he did. You don't buy a team to flip it like a house, as you said. I mean, you just don't, especially the Lakers. These are the Lakers. Like, this is the glamour franchise of the NBA. So that's my take on it. I could be wrong.
Just devil's advocate.
Yeah.
It's nice to make $2 billion.
How much is he worth?
Nothing.
How much money is he worth?
Yeah, but you don't think he bought. I mean,
Right. He's worth so much
I know
money.
it's all leveraged and everything, but I'm
Yeah.
saying it's a pretty sweet
No, but I'm
return.
saying you didn't. But I
he's
just
probably worth so much money. I don't know the number offhand, but
no. I guess
I just
my only response to that, I agree with you, but if they're worth $12.5 billion today, unless he thinks it's going to go down, it's going to be worth more.
Right.
You know what I mean, in the future. And one would think he bought it for a long-term thing. Something I agree
if
with.
it went up $2.5
my gut
billion
is
in
yeah,
9
or the
months.
Buss family made a terrible deal.
Well, that's it. Well,
That it was worth 12 last year, and they sold it for 10 because they screwed up.
And I don't think they made it
quickly on the
deal.
fine, and this is not our wheelhouse.
Yeah.
But it's worth noting, the Celtics are also a marquee franchise. They don't own their building. The Lakers rent from AEG. They sold for $6 billion.
Well, that's why I don't think the Busses got robbed.
Double the Lakers,
Yeah.
we 12.5. But
But he threw out a huge number to, But anyway, as far as I agree with you that Walters, they know what they're doing. Look at the Dodgers.
Yes.
I mean, the Dodgers were great, but just couldn't get over the hump. And they went out there and spent all the money it takes to create a super team, and they've won the last 2 World Series.
Paying for it for decades. But some interesting
No, I mean,
accounting there.
he does
Yeah.
go ahead and he's doing whatever it takes to win. Now, I get it. Baseball doesn't have the salary cap like the NBA.
No, but Wildes' point, he's also deferring a lot of that money down the road.
Yeah, everyone's on like the Bobby Bonilla deal.
But hey, that's all right. He's trying to win now. I bet you the fans, appreciate it. But so I think Iger, obviously on Disney for a long time, or CEO of Disney. You would think he'd be a good owner and stuff, but the Walters, that group knew what they were doing. As far as the basketball team, look, and this is not, regardless of what the ownership was, I think now, I threw out last year, and I never would have said this 2 years ago. I threw out last season. It is very much on the board, and Luka is phenomenal. He will be an all-time great. But it's on the board, he never wins a championship. And I'm leaning well over 50% now that he doesn't. He could.
Why?
I think the West is so strong and the teams are younger, and the Lakers spend a lot of their money, which it looks like a solid team, a good team, but I don't think they're better than some of the teams they need to go through.
So he did release a statement today.
Yep.
I don't think we pulled it, but it was just kind of a boilerplate. Yeah. But it was interesting that he has the face. It was sort of like, I'm officially the face of the team. Yeah. Here's my statement. My number one question kind of speaks to what you said. We heard countless articles or read countless articles like, you know what, they're going to take all the analytics guys from the Dodgers, bring them over. Magic's guy, Lon Rosen, became the Dodgers guy. Then he moved over to the Lakers. What happens to this? Are people being fired now, or is this Iger-Kushner group going to absorb this group?
So it'll be interesting to see. You're right, what they do.
Do you have
who's running the show?
Here's the other. I have one other question, and then very quickly one observation, then we move on. One question is also, if you remember, it was in writing, unlike the Cuban thing with the Walters deal, but Jeannie Buss stays in charge for like the next 5 years. How does that now survive a new ownership? And so
I would think they would get rid of that.
That's what I think. Again, this is where I don't know how the contract law and things like that. Right. The other thing that I just want to say to sports fans as a whole, as these teams have these insane valuations, you're running out of human beings, individual human beings who it's like, I started a business, I did great, I'm going to buy my local sports team. And instead, it is, as we are into deca-billions of dollars to cost these teams, it is trickier and trickier to acquire that type of money without potentially all of a sudden having a Wall Street Journal article written like, hey, you might be in some trouble.
It's difficult.
And I have not been overwhelmed by some of the newest NBA owners. Matt Ishbia is one of the newest ones. He's in the Wall Street Journal today for various reasons. The newest owner for the Blazers, Tom Dundon.
Yep.
No malfeasance, but I just don't love how he's doing things. The casino folks who bought the Mavs, and now Walters, who we liked buying the Lakers, all of a sudden he flips it. Like, I do worry about sports in general, that the more that you need like foreign investment and private equity and things like that, is it going to get a little messier at the ownership level rather than will we long for the days of Jerry Jones? Guy made a bunch of money, bought a team, ran it himself. Like, I do wonder.
Yeah, it's a little mom and pop.
Exactly.
Now when you look at it. It's like we're actually owned by a huge hedge fund.
Yeah, for real. As opposed to like the Mara
Which is
family.
what Walters is kind of being investigated.
And so I think that is just something that came to mind when I see how much these teams are worth.
That's interesting. Okay, we're moving on to the NFL. Chicago writer Dan Pompei of The Athletic sat down with Bears coach Ben Johnson, who we learn usually wakes up before 4:30 a.m. thinking about how his Bears can redefine greatness. That's what Pompei's writing. Here's one of two quotes from the Bears coach. Buckle up. You've got 31 other teams coming to training camp saying, our goal is to win the Super Bowl. I want more than that. I want to have the highest scoring offense ever, which happens to be the 2013 Denver Broncos. I know how many points per game they scored, 37.9. And I want to surpass them. I want shutouts. I want blowouts. Before we get your reaction, I'm not done. There's actually more. He also asked about the consecutive victories record, which the Patriots hold, 21 straight W's. What does Ben Johnson say? Well, why can't we do that? There has never been an undefeated season since we've moved past the Dolphins.
14, yeah.
The moon is the Super Bowl. We're shooting beyond that. For the stars. Okay. Very Buzz Lightyear-y from Ben Johnson. Your reaction to Ben Johnson's ambition?
I will say this. I do like his energy and his intensity. And credit to Dan Pompei, who wrote the article for The Athletic. Go read it. It's a great article. I thought his energy and intensity jumped off the pages. Like, I almost felt it as I was reading.
You want to run through a wall for him.
Yeah, I felt, reading the story, I felt like,
bench pressing 250.
this guy is a ball of energy.
Yes.
And I do think there is a positive in that. Like, him going into the facility, being so optimistic, being so energetic, we can do this, we can do that. I do think players can respond positively to that. I think it raises the standard and really makes them believe. Now, I think there's a downside. I think it's a mixed bag. And the quotes he had, it was right there. When you say, I want more than the Super Bowl,
he's actually
if you win the Super Bowl by a point on a last-second field goal, 17-14, you're not going to be happy? Because you didn't hit 38 points, because you didn't shut the team. Like, I think that is disrespectful to the rest of the NFL. And if I'm an opposing coach, I'm pointing this out. This dude thinks that he and his team are the God's gift to football. Let's go out there and show. I mean, really.
Yes.
So when you say, we're going to go undefeated, we're going to average 30. He wants to be he's saying they're going to be a mix of the 85 Bears, the greatest show on turf, and throw in the Tom Brady, Randy Moss Patriots.
Talking about going undefeated and then also starting the next year 4-0.
Yeah.
For the record.
That's week 5
is two. And you're not coaching the Catholic high school in your city where you recruit all the best talent and you beat up on the inner city public schools that don't have a budget. All right? This is the NFL, and I think it comes off as disrespectful, as I said. If it works, he will be lauded. He will be legendary. If it doesn't work, he will be made to look, especially if they don't play well at all, he will look like a clown who didn't understand the level of football you were playing at. This is the NFL. Every team has great players.
I'm not known as the big spender on the show, the gambling man. That's really you. I'm willing to gamble everything that I've got. I'm all in with all of my assets and my family's assets. That the Chicago Bears this year will not run off a 21-game win streak, have the highest scoring offense of all time, and throw in a few shutouts along the way. I don't think that. And I don't think Ben Johnson should either. Okay? Last year, we also were on the hype train for Ben Johnson last year. Week 1, they lost to J.J. McCarthy, and they fell apart in the fourth quarter. Then for the whole year, and I know we have a lot of recency bias because at the end of the season, they beat the Packers, which were on a terrible losing streak.
They were also the 2 seed, right? They were the 2 seed and won their division, like your team.
Yeah, they were on the
They were the 2 seed and won their division like your team. I mean,
we did go to the Super Bowl.
I understand. No, but I'm just saying not to minimize what they did over the. You guys lost week 1. They lost week 1. You guys both ended up 2 seed, won your division. You guys had a better year, but I think
we had a better year.
I don't think we can just minimize what they did last year. They were hyped last year, and they reached the hype.
He is an offensive genius. Were they first in points last year?
No, they were ninth.
They were 9th in points.
Which was,
they scored 1 more point than the Baltimore Ravens, who had a disaster of the season, had to fire everybody. One of Lamar's worst here. The coach is out, offense coordinator out. What's going on? Everything's broken. We got no wide receivers. Derrick Henry washed. What's going on? They were 1 more point. 1 more, and now he's like, you know what? We're primed to do? Be the best offense of all time. It's
too much.
Hubris to the highest degree.
So I agree with that. What you're saying. I think the line is, and it doesn't really make sense actually, but you shoot for the moon, so if you fall short, you land amongst the stars.
Yeah.
Which really I don't think actually, from an astronomy perspective, is accurate.
Stars are quite far away.
Stars are further.
Moon's pretty close.
He's kind of twisting it. I agree with you, KW. He's not going to reach those goals, but if you fall short of highest scoring offense ever, fall short of an undefeated season, but win a Super Bowl at some point, nobody cares that you said bigger things. So I don't mind him having these goals. I think saying it to a reporter is ridiculous, except for this. And this is where your and my only Ben Johnson rub is. This is who he's always been. He has always, at every opportunity, wanted to be, if not the lead actor, the co-star of his team's offensive movies. And when he was the play caller for the Lions, I was the only person who didn't like it. When they were doing trick plays up 30, and I was like, I hope you have a lot more left. You guys loved it. And you were all over it, and you wanted them to stick it to the Cowboys.
Yeah. They did. Remember they lined up.
They lined up. You loved it. So I'm surprised that you're surprised that now that he is the head coach, he is coming off, even though I do think you minimized it, a very successful season. They were a 4 or 5 win team. People were in training camp last year like, I don't know, what about Bajent and his arm wrestling dad? And all of a sudden, they win the division, they win a playoff game, all those things. The 9th best scoring offense in the league for the Bears is amazing. Like they're not historically a good offense. To be surprised that he is leaning into who he's always been is, to me, silly. Like this, he has been a guy that talks a lot, that is very brash.
For a guy who talks a lot, this is like
This is beyond.
We've never heard a quote like this.
No,
I've been doing the show for like 5 years.
This is way.
We talk about like, man, you shouldn't be talking about the Super Bowl. He's talking about winning the Super Bowl and then starting next year with undefeated and going after legendary teams.
No, listen. I said here's what it feels like. The only thing I can comp it to. It feels like the personality we've seen from a lot of legendary college coaches. Feels like Steve Spurrier. Feels like where you are the star. Where you are the star of the program. And you are, and this is what we're going to do. You're right, we don't hear about it in the NFL. I do think I think he's a very good coach, and I think they're going to be good, and I think he is a very sharp offensive mind. But I think it is a touch unfair to Ben Johnson to be surprised that Ben Johnson has stayed Ben Johnson. He's always been cocky. He's always thought he's great. he's never been hesitant to try to rub other teams' noses in it. And now he's just going on the record saying that's what we want to do.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get more from the show and to check out clips from other shows on FS1.